Hi everyone and welcome to this video. Today I'm going to show you how I made this image in Photoshop. We made this image as a response to the current war in Ukraine. Of course, I know there have been a lot of images made, but this is my take on, well, actually not my take on the war, but my take on the Ukrainian people. I personally have a bond with Ukraine. I cannot go into depth, but we are having a pretty tight bond with people there, and we know people there. So for us to see this war happening has been heart-wrenching and heartbreaking, as for many out there. So in support of the Ukraine, I wanted to make an image and sell it online in order to raise money for the current refugees that are coming into Europe. So I wanted to make a nice print that you can hang in your house, but also that would tell a story about what my take is on the situation. And I decided to focus actually not on the war itself, but on the Ukrainian people and their current courage that we are seeing on display. It is not for nothing that they are absolutely holding on to one of the greatest armies in the world. I am absolutely flabbergasted by the absolute courage that the Ukraine is showing with their army and their people. So the image is called "Until Death Do Us Part," and it was kind of inspired by the modder. I don't know the painter, this is so bad of me, but I will put a link in the description, or at least a link towards the image, maybe on Wikipedia, of the painter. But it's hanging in the Louvre, and I saw it years ago, and it always made an impression. I actually have a print in our house of it. I love the image. It's a martyr laying in water, eyes closed, bound with her hands. She has died. That's my interpretation. I have to be honest that I have not read into the story behind it, but that was my interpretation of the image. And she died for something she believed in. And I feel the Ukrainian people are ready to die for what they believe in, which is peace. They know what it is to live under a regime that doesn't allow too many freedoms. Some people that I know have lived under the Soviets, and they do not want to go back. And that's exactly what we see on display in the Ukraine. These people are just fighting until death because they don't want to give up. So the image is actually a woman, I call her Woman Ukraine, laying on a bed of flowers which are blue, and her dress is gold, which is inspired by the Ukrainian flag, where actually, some people don't know this, but the blue is for the blue sky, and the yellow is actually for the beautiful grain fields that they have there. Now, at first I thought maybe I should use grain in the image, but it led to this, which the flowers are blue and the dress is gold. She's laying there. She has a sword in her hand, ready to fight. And while she lays, she looks at you and she pretty much says, "I'm ready to die for my cause." As the martyr, she's laying in a field of flowers, but she has a sword in her hand. She looks at you and she pretty much says, "Okay, I'm ready to die for this cause." So that was the inspiration and the image that I had in my head, but of course you need to shoot it, and that's a whole different thing. So first of all, I'm gonna take you through the images that I shot, which are a lot. I was very tired that day. Like, the war had made such an impression on me, so I had troubles keeping my head on straight during the shoot. And so it was hard for me. I had to figure out the light, which shouldn't be too hard for something like this, but I've never had somebody laying down. So I was really wrestling with it at the moment, like, how am I going to put the light? Normally for these kind of images, I put the light above head. So I wanted that effect with the shadows under the chin. So the logical way of thinking would have been to put the light like to the side of the model. Now here you can see a part of my light, which I put at the top to just see like what would happen if I let it come from the top. But I wasn't too impressed with it. It created too much shadow, especially because I wanted her to look towards the side. So I decided, okay, this is probably not going to work. So I struggled with that for a little bit. It's so funny to see these photos. Do you see her socks? So that's just hilarious. So I struggled with it a little bit, and I kind of put the light towards the side so it would actually, she would be laying like this and it would come like this. And that worked much better. It created less shadow. I used an umbrella at first, but I felt like it was just lighting too much of the area out. Here is where I used the umbrella, which was pretty good. I mean, you can see the little round in her eye where, you know, it's an umbrella, so it will make a round light catch. But then I decided something to do with what I don't really do very often. I used actually an octabox, which you can see because she has a straight little light here. And I will put a behind the scene image in here as well, which caused the light not to fall off too far, because I really wanted, like, I didn't want it to be exactly like the image the mother, but I did want it to be very focused on the top of the body and not too much flare out to the sides or all the way over the flowers. I really wanted the attention towards the face and the top of the body where the sword would have been. So I had a little bit of a struggle because I've never worked with that kind of light. We even tried to put some light behind her head, which you can see here. But because I was so tired and uncertain of what it would look like, and I wanted to focus on the full image, we decided not to do that. But I might do that later because actually I don't like it. So it is always a struggle. Here you can see actually the octabox. At first I had a grid on it, but I decided to take away. And at the back you see a beauty dish with a little light, but I decided to take that out. So that's not there. You can see the highlight on her forehead from that. I did like it, but it's not a light that I'm used to work with. And because this image was so precious to me and there were some other technical things that I had to focus on, I decided not to do that. Still pretty though. So, I'm just trying to focus and go forward. Then I decided, you know, how much of the body do I want to have on the image? Because I wanted to be able to let it be printed really big. The idea is still to also put a print size online that's life size. So I wanted to make sure that the image would be big enough to print it that big. And so I cut the image up in different photos. And here is where it went wrong. Learn from me, please do, because it will save you a ton of time. So what I did, and which I did wrong, I made a photo first of her upper body, then of the flowers laying in front of her, and of her middle, and then of the bottom, and also of the flowers there. So I pretty much went from one side to the other. But here's the mistake I made. Please learn from this. This was so dumb. I've done this not too many times, but I've done this. So I should have known, but somehow my brain wasn't working. So I put my camera on a tripod, and the mistake I made is I focused on the face first and kind of looked at where I wanted to shoot it. So for example, you see an image here. This was kind of the height that I wanted to stand from. So this is where I wanted to highlight the face. But then I made the mistake of just taking the tripod and pushing my camera down a little bit. So, you know, the camera went from this to like this. But that will create distortion. And so in the end, when I put all my images in Photoshop, because what I did is I was at the head, made an image, just did the camera like this instead of this. You don't turn it like this or this. You turn it straight, and then you photograph it straight, and you don't like let it. I don't know how to explain this really well, I guess. But you don't turn it like this. You just take it and take a straight line and make the photo. So huge mistake, because when I wanted to put it in Photoshop and actually let it be combined automatically by stitching, it wouldn't do it. It would look horrible and I couldn't do it. Later on, I did make, in between times actually, I did make one image. Let me see if I can find it here. I did make one image that I did stitch, and that one worked because I did it the right way, but I didn't like the way she looked, like the way she looked you into the eye, so I decided not to use that one. I think it was this one. No, that's the test shot that I made first time over. I guess it's not in here, but it was pretty dumb of me. Nope. No, sadly, I didn't save it because it didn't work, so I didn't save it. But so I ended up in Photoshop just stitching all the layers together. You can see a little bit of that here. Where I just started out laying all the images over each other, put like all those flowers. We didn't have a huge budget, so we didn't have too many flowers. I had to edit all of these flowers in to make the actual image. Now, let me take you over a little bit of the editing. So here's a part of the editing. This is actually a taping from 4 hours of the 20 hours that I put in this image. I just wanted to be perfect, and maybe I wanted it to be too perfect, but you know, cutting out all those flowers, I should have photographed some loose flowers on a white background, but with the shadowing that I'm using, that wouldn't have worked anyway. So this is how I do it always, and normally it takes some time, but this time I really made the mistake. So you can see me just putting in all the flowers and chopping some away and putting some more and just making this field, which it worked out in the end. But yeah, I wasn't too happy with myself on that one. But in the end, it worked out. It worked out fine. It turned into a beautiful image. I did a lot of the color grading beforehand in Lightroom with my own presets, you know, which I have on my website. They just helped me out getting started, and then after I compilated the whole image, I made sure that the dress was a different color and that I did some extra color grading. I actually used the infinite color panel for this and also the infinite texture panel. I will put them in the link in the description. That worked out really well for me using their tools in this image. And yeah, putting in a digital background and cleaning it all up. The cleaning up and putting in the flowers, that's what took me the absolute longest. But it has been an absolute joy to make it, honestly, because it turned out so great. I had some old photos that I used for a different photo shoot where leaves would fall. I used those leaves and put them in and recolored them blue. And of course did the retouching and editing of the skin, but she didn't need too much. She had perfect skin. So all in all, it turned out absolutely great. I'm happy with the image, but I will definitely learn from the mistake I made. This is also why a lot of people think it's so easy to make these images is beyond me, because it takes so much work not only to think of an image and then organize it, but to actually finish it from top to bottom it's an absolute joy, and sometimes it's an absolute nightmare. And I have to say, this image really took everything out of me, but I love it, so it's all right. It's just learn from me, please learn from me. Yeah, so that's it. That was the quick breakdown of this image. I'm hoping to take you along more frequently into my images again. I know I've not been the greatest YouTuber in the world. I'm actually not a YouTuber. Sometimes I think like, oh, this is nice to share and I make a YouTube thing. But I do love making content. It's just I'm extremely busy keeping my business going, which I'm super grateful for that I can. But at the same time, it is what it is, you know. I wish I had more time to make this kind of content. So let me know what you thought of this. I know it was a very simple breakdown of it all. I can't take you through the whole process because it's absolutely crazy. But next time I might just make a more in-depth video about this all. Also, let me know in the comments what you would like to learn. I am going to make a few retouching videos, like short clips of certain problems that you can solve, like what do you do with a glare in glasses? What do you do with a background that doesn't work for you? Stuff like that. So if there's anything specific that you're looking for, let me know and I will take it into consideration. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you like it, and don't forget to help us out and buy this print in my shop. If you are coming from a foreign country, I can ship it to you. You just have to let me know. Just send me an email and we'll make it work. All of the profits will go to the refugees. We're looking into different kinds of good causes, so we want to make sure we make the right choice, but do know we will donate all the profits. So the only thing that will go off of it is the costs, but for the printing, but not like we don't earn anything from this. So yeah, that was it for today. I hope you liked it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.